Yeah, so the seal on the other end again looks fine, maybe a bit soft. That's certainly workable. So yeah, so the way it works obviously is that this acts as a seal, a one-way valve in fact, over the hole that's at the end of the tube which is connected to the reservoir. So while you're braking and pushing on the pedal, this valve is held against the end face of the cylinder and blocks off the reservoir, so all the pressure from the brake pedal is going up through and out to the brakes, whereas when you take the pedal off, this will relax and allow any oil from the reservoir to get into the cylinder. So the reservoir is normally connected to the cylinder, except when you're pressing on the brakes, when this just temporarily seals it off. So pretty straightforward, which is the way it should be, I guess, for a safety system. The simpler the better. Good. Okay, so here's the thing disassembled. Obviously the main casting, there's the cylinder itself. There's the steel screw that attaches the reservoir to the back end of the cylinder and feeds into the cylinder through a hole at the base of the cylinder itself. There's the outlet adapter for the feed to the brake system itself. We've got a small seal which attaches to the end of this unit here, which presses against the hole at the base of the cylinder, blocks off the reservoir while you're braking. Return spring, little catch to hold the pin, and then the piston itself with its seal, which obviously floats about in here, and is what you press on when you press the brake pedal. So as you press the brake pedal, the first thing it does is to close this valve firmly, block off the reservoir, and then any pressure then just feeds straight out and into the brakes. Okay, so I've cleaned the cylinder itself. I'll give it a blow out with some air in a bit, but meanwhile, so this is the original reservoir, which is a bit dubious, but I've just bought through eBay this plastic equivalent. So obviously it's not original, but I'm not too bothered about that. There's a lot of things on the car that aren't original, so I'll keep the original anyway, just for the record as it were, but I think I'm going to use this one. The trouble is, it's significantly taller. Well, it's not that much taller, but it's slightly taller. I've checked it against the car, and if this just goes straight in, it stands quite high because the thread is so long. It stands about there, and it just about fits, but you can't get the lid off basically. So I was thinking I'd shorten this thread, because the old one seals against the face of this nut anyway, rather than this rounded end. But then it occurred to me that this is actually the same thread by the looks of it. There's a nut in there in a very similar arrangement to this one. So I'm thinking I will keep the original stub for the original reservoir, but just swap it for this reservoir. So hopefully it'll work. I'll give it a go now and see if I can get this one out, and whether that's going to work. Okay, so change of plan, I think. I was going to use this in the new reservoir. This is the original reservoir fitting. But having tried it, I think the better solution is going to be to simply cut this one off to the same length. Because then it'll seal against this this surface here, rather than on the end as it's obviously designed to do. I've got a new washer, new copper washer, so I might actually anneal this one because it's a slightly different size. But anyway, yeah, I think it's going to be a better bet. So I will cut this down to the same length as that. Okay, so I've cut that off. Just deburr the hole. Okay, that'll do, I think, and it's yeah, it's the same depth as this one, which is about 11mm. So that's good. Okay, so it's a 7/16 UNF die nut. And that fits fine now, so it's a good way of just cleaning up the threads at the end where you've cut it. I'm going to put some thread lock on here anyway. Oops. Just because. Good. Should do. Right, so this already has a rubber seal as it was supplied, and I guess those serrations or sort of indentations around there are supposed to lock onto the nut, but it doesn't seem to. Or it kind of tries, but doesn't quite work. Anyway. Right, I'm going to try this on the car, really just to roughly line it up, to make sure that this, the positioning of this reservoir, which I say can be anywhere around here, make sure it's in a sensible place. So that's going to hit the other reservoirs. It's going to have to be, yeah, it needs to be about there, I think. Okay, so it looks as if this reservoir needs to be pretty much directly in line, otherwise it fouls the clutch reservoir. It is actually very slightly canted that way, which I think I can get away with, which gives me a bit more access on the hood line, on the bonnet. Anyway, just tighten that up. Okay, that looks alright. the rubber seal in the lid, and so it seems a lot more sensible than the original Reservoir. Should do. Good, so that's pretty much ready to go once I've got the innards in it. Let's have a look at these. So, something for the lid. Well, they've given me two of those. Anyway, it's a boot for the front, which I don't think I need. No, I don't need, because I've got this one. The main seal should correspond to that one, which looks similar. A new circlip, which again is similar to the old one, but slightly thicker actually. The actual cross section of the clip is slightly thicker, but it's the same basic size, so that's good. And a small seal for the other end, which again looks similar but slightly smaller, so I don't know whether that's swollen up. It does feel very soft. This one is distinctly stiffer, but hopefully that will fit on there okay. Let's give it a try. Yeah, I mean that looks fine. Interesting though, I wonder if that has actually swollen up. Actually it's a different profile as well, slightly. And the working face is pretty much the same, so I don't think there's any problem with it not working correctly. And I also noticed in some of the other kits you got this wavy washer that fits under there between the plastic and the back of the piston. I guess that just gives it some resilience, so that it tends to push it against the hole at the bottom of this cylinder and seals, starts to seal, and then obviously the pressure in the oil will press it closed anyway. Okay, so that seems okay. Good, so that fits in here somehow. Try and work out where the keyhole is. There we go. Right. Yeah, that's fine. So the numbers make pretty much no sense at all, to me at least. The original seal has got quite a long string of numbers on it. SOS 64673 407 S10-8. So that's all around the inside of that one. The new one simply says SP250. So goodness knows how that works, but anyway, it looks to be the right size. Just a bit of this on here. Should probably be using brake fluid, I suppose, but this will do. It's quite stiff over that last land. There we go. Yeah, I mean that looks okay. So I guess that fits in there. Oh, that's what the cutout is for. It's to catch it onto that kind of stub on the end of the piston. Good. A very thin smear of grease on there just to ease it in. There is actually a slight taper on that bore to allow seal to work its way in more effective. There we go. Yeah, well, that's fine. Spring is pushing it back out. Good. Not quite in the. It's not yet. That's better. Good. Yep, looking good. So it's a question of putting this thing back on, and it's good to go back in the car. Just stick some grease in, seeing as I've got it. Right, I think that's all alright.